Salutations, good to be back on the air. Yeah, yes, I know it's been a while since, someone with my style has treated this hellish site to a broadcast. Rejoice! Instead of the typical clout chasing mediocre video podcasts around, I've been trying to kick the can and, you know, trying this fad or that, and maybe nothing's working. With that said, I thought it would just be fun to just talk about movies that I've watched, trying to figure out what the next video or idea or like what to do. And I went in many different directions trying to find inspiration, and it never came, and I've been busy, and life does get you down. So I said, instead of focusing in on like one film, what if I just shotgun a bunch of them and and ranked them and showed you the good, the bad, and the best of what I've been watching. It's such a wild assortment that I think it's gonna be like, oh, what comes next? And then like, there's so much comparing apples and oranges that I think is gonna be fun. So let's just see what happens. Let's have fun with it. So if you want some movie recommendations or movie thoughts, hey, let's just shotgun them to you. Enjoy.
Me? I'm awful? Oh yeah, how am I awful?
Well, at least it was kind enough to name itself accurately. Ooh, so spicy right off the bat. Man, this was just a steaming pile Known for being somewhat inconsistent in tackling sci-fi concepts, Black Mirror decides to fully delve in a comedic spin on every topic imaginable, and it flops hard. It's like the lyrical genius of We Didn't Start the Fire, but, just rapidly firing off and naming things, but like the Fall Out Boy version, that there's no rhyme or reason, it's just AI, deepfakes, terms and conditions, simulations, abuse of likeness. None of it's clever. None of it's new. It's not very funny, in my opinion. It's the South Park Human Centipede episode. Like, oh wow, should have read the fine print. Now evil Netflix is gonna turn you into a Karen? Oh no. Think of your reputation. I think the most disparaging thing I can say is that I was going to possibly review the whole season of Black Mirror and rank those. And this killed any enthusiasm I had to even indulging in that idea. I didn't watch a single other episode of the season. I said, you know what, pack it up. Maybe next time. Production value wise, this is probably of higher quality than some of the lower ranked stuff on here, but this is the one that made me the most upset. So it's at the bottom. Truly awful.
You're laughing. Someone was killed today.
I don't think you want your emotional processing of grief and trauma story to be absolutely hilarious. Why was this nominated for an Oscar? Well acted, but especially in shorts, tell over show is actually okay. All you have to do is just present the idea that, like, this person lost a daughter. You don't have to show his whole family dying by terrorists. And it's just like this goofy terrorist attack that looks like it was filmed by a college student. It's never clever or subtle with the concept. Like, this concept asks for, like, a nice touch and to be, like, very subtle and clever. It's not. No, it's not. Things blatantly happen for the sake of story rather than any character motivation. This girl at the end just randomly decides to hug an Uber driver because I guess she sensed his sadness or something. That's the kind of level we're operating at. Too many things are happening just to push this sappy melodrama, and it's bad. Did not enjoy.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Mr. Policeman, you could have saved her. I gave you all the clues. Did you? The snowman was, a lot to process, little to enjoy. I feel like I couldn't even tell you what happened in this movie outside of the goofy sinking car scene at the beginning. I've heard stories. I know that the production was hell on this project. I forgot pretty much everything that happened. I even forgot the main character's name was Harry Hole.
Yeah, just a sec, I'll check. Amanda Hug and Kiss? Hey, I'm looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss. Why can't I find Amanda Hug and Kiss?
Your grim, dark detective drama, and your main character is named Harry Hole. How amazing. No one should watch this film outside of like a filmmaking forensic kind of deal. Like, there's a lot to dissect and try to see exactly how a bad movie can be assembled, but it's rather enjoyless regardless. So, viewer discretion.
Oh my god, there's a bang at the door!
Yawn. The twist of this movie shouldn't be this obvious of a plot detail. It doesn't matter. It's like the IMDb trivia beat masquerading as a clever reveal. The movie operates on a binary: either this will happen, or the other outcome will. I was curious if M. Night had something up his sleeve, and no. No, he does not. A rather dull outing that is disappointingly toothless in comparison to its source material. It's a dud.
It's the best friends forever! Best friends forever! Ring!
Cool poster? This one bites off a little bit more than it could chew, as it is a pretty standard group of friends playing with an evil object of sorts, and unearths some sort of tension and trauma between friends. This one hurts that, like, talk to me and, like, bodies, and, like, these kind of movies are kind of doing really well. And this is not one of those. They try a lot of non-chronological storytelling and mystery for as poor of a production as it is. I like some of the ideas it is playing with, at least it's just not close in terms of competent filmmaking. It's a rather ambitious tale. There's not enough there to like, but there are some neat ideas. I just wish it wasn't so dreadful to sit through.
I know this isn't the best time, but when you get a chance to pull over,
This movie pulls off the whole barbarian subversion where it dramatically shifts midway into a different kind of tale, and it's fine, I suppose. I like Helen Hunt, though not particularly strong showing in this one. It just reminds me of scarier things I've heard about, and I would rather see something more in line with that. It really starts to unravel at some point. Neither half is really engaging enough to warrant getting too invested, and most of the appeal is just some baffling choices the movie makes.
Sorry, girls, but he could be criminal!
Oh. Okay then. Well-acted rear window thriller with overall stunning production. It runs into a quarter and just kind of ends, and I guess. Similar to Knock in the Cabin, it's a very binary movie of having two predetermined outcomes, and I don't know, not being satisfied with it being the most obvious and saying little.
It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my job. You understand that?
Liam Neeson is a detective man. Marlowe. If eggshell paint color was a movie, Neeson is unfortunately wasted as he is doing what feels like someone trying a little too hard to achieve noir speak. It's passable, but you can really feel how slightly unnatural it is. Not too shocking, kind of slow pace, gets the job done, but mediocrity isn't rewarded for me.
Paradox, get ready to get your game on!
I'm not a fan of it. A lot of telling us rather than showing us Ender's tactical genius or intelligence. They really make no justification on why they're recruiting child soldiers. A lot of the focus on this kind of weak world building of Ender's game, and less of the games and Ender. And Ender's kind of a mute character for so much care to be put on his mental stability and emotional, like, fervor. If you know about the existence of war games, why watch war games for babies?
Ringtone, pick up the phone! Ringtone, pick up your phone!
But whose phone? Sorry, I'm just not really nostalgic for a time I was in a life for. On music choices, Ethan Hawke is pretty great despite not being much more than an obstacle like the Hello Neighbor guy. Odd needle drops aside, odd ghost children lore, odd lack of plot momentum. I feel like the phone is a neat concept, but maybe more fitting for a short, because if he tried more to just escape than getting distracted by the ghost children, I think it's not that hard. Ethan Hawke's filmography continues to be alluring, but disappointing.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
Jim Cummings, the king of cringe. I saw his short film version of Thunder Road and thought it was pretty great. I was curious about his feature film works. Jim Cummings continues to be a Jim Carrey force of nature, which makes the film watchable. Was you need to stick his stick into a thriller where it doesn't belong. The movie kind of plays out like watching Ferris Bueller from the principal's perspective. Interesting, but kind of unlikable and over the top. The maybe should have put the reins into a different character. It takes on Hollywood agency culture head on, and it finds a nice, wacky adventure, but I don't think it quite comes across together in the end. Like, it's a decent flick. It makes me appreciate Cummings, but it's not something I'm going to hold in high regards.
You gotta pay the troll toll. If you want to get into that boy's hole, you gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
Oh shit, I forgot to pay the Ghost. Recipe for success? I like Ghost. I like Nick Cage performances. So why is this god awful? A lot of things happening. Not that it's like fast paced, bunch of exciting twists and turns. More like, why is there a giant vulture? Why is Debbie the soccer mom having the download on New York Viking spirits? New York, my apologies. This takes place in Arizona. Can't you tell? So, yeah, according to a line in this movie, either Arizona looks a lot like New York City than I remember it to look, or Arizona is so invested in a missing child case that has been going on for a max 2 hours, 30 states over, that they will send their entire police force to get to the bottom of it. I like the dedication. Good on them. This movie reeks of being too lazy to edit our script that is probably only in New York for the convenience of maybe Nick Cage or whoever in the production company got them, or refused to go to Arizona. Rude. It's a decently put together movie, but there's mistakes and the finale looks like a complete bargain bin burner. It's close to being fun. I know, despite the quality concerns, it's just, it's not there. Not enough to be amused to justify it being higher.
Cats go meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Now, if you want amusement, Cat Person can maybe go higher. Maybe a spoiler, so skip ahead if you want. There's plenty of other movies we're going to talk about, don't worry. You can skip this one if you don't want to be spoiled for Cat Person. You know how I've criticized movies for being very binary in their story, either this or that? Cat Person is kind of hilarious because it's a binary movie. Either this guy is a creep, or this girl is too paranoid. And you can maybe find nuance in either one of those stories you tell, but you're gonna kind of be unappealing to a chunk of audience no matter which one you choose. I'm not kidding. I think this movie actually doesn't choose the entire movie. And like, maybe you can do this. Not how they did it. Fellas, is it fucked up to drug a girl when said girl breaks into your house with a weapon? What? I thought we were doing like a Joker thing where we made like the embodiment of raging third wave feminism into a character, and she's not. Nope. She's just like that. If you keep riding the fence, either side of the gender war is not going to be happy. The short story is about the fine line between awkward and psycho, and how does one tell? Which side am I? Well, obviously.
Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says.
I really enjoyed I'm Thinking About Endings. I was excited that Lane Reed was getting another movie adaptation with Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. Sounds awesome. How do you mess this one up? Really comes down to the execution, because at its peak, there is some great tension and commentary on the anxious nature of couples with an unsure future. If we're doing movie math, there's like half an hour, which I think is truly great and remarkable. The other hour and 18 minutes, painfully boring, repetitive, and just terrible. Movie really dawned on me that a certain topic of discussion is just so painfully written haphazardly that any movie that addresses it is on thin ice. It's not even that if I agree or not. Like, remember when Trump was like the villain in a bunch of movies that didn't really address the issues but kind of just went, get a load of this guy, and the movies were bad? Well, there's a new boogeyman in town, and I think there's a good story in there, but I think we're still waiting for the right voice to tackle it properly.
A deer, a female deer.
What did Obama mean by this? Us meets The Happening. Flirts with being a tense thriller, flirts with being a laughable romp. It meets somewhere in the middle and exposes Sam Esmail's biggest flaws. Fun needle drops, but just watch Mr. Robot. It's a classic, and this is a Netflix movie for sure. Damn, Ethan Hawke, so close, but yet so far, yet again.
I'm the boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you.
I don't mean to alarm you, but there could be a boogeyman or boogeymen in the house. You know it's bad when I have to ask myself why, when I was kind of interested in this movie, did I never end up watching it? When I did, glowing ball, impractical to sleep with, but cool visual. Everything else, not so much. Just a little incident involving the boogeyman.
I'm sorry. You think you deserve an apology.
Skylar, an interesting bottle story that kind of capitalizes on revealing information piece by piece. That's why the first half of the movie is quite good. It's a bit of a slow burn, and once it kind of plays all its cards, there's little to go, and it attempts to inject some action, which kind of betrays the stage play style drama that was actually kind of working for me. End result is just meh.
Release the Kraken.
Ruby Gilman. Ruby, oop. As much as I was lukewarm on Turning Red, the reason I am at least minimally positive on it is because it's not Ruby Gilman. It's not for me. It's not for me. There's some jokes that land, and Keyboard Cat Puss in Boots cameo is greatly appreciated. Very cliche and kind of befuddling world building, awkward teen stuff. It's charming. It's charming, but just not a great screenplay.
We pivoted to video.
We need to talk about Benny. Michael Haneke is a unique, dour director that isn't afraid to pull punches. I wasn't really aware of what I was getting into. I was more interested in a teen's descent into becoming disillusioned at a world, and that's kind of there. One scene is maybe the most disturbing and flinching realistic depiction of a gruesome act I've seen on film. While the film's portrayal is quite jarringly real, it never quite feels like a true narrative that goes anywhere. It feels like the grandfather of this violent media brings violence into the world theme. For better or worse, we're more just onlookers trying to grasp exactly how Benny and his mother are truly feeling and thinking. There's some flavors of excellence, but it's a rather slog to sit through. Minecraft, Batman, Joker, Harley Quinn, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Star Trek, Ryu and Chun-Li, Mach 5, Bigfoot, DeLorean, Tron, Akira, Jurassic Park, King Kong, Iron Giant, Battlestar Galactica, Aliens, Silent Running, Arrakis, GoldenEye, Clark Kent, Spider-Man, Hulk, Asteroids, Galaga, Bill and Ted, Star Wars, Tracer, War of the Worlds, Tootsie Pop, Knight Rider, Surprise of the Life, Common Rider, Beetlejuice, Goro the Dark, Crystal Rosebud, Purple Rain, Mad Max, Gremlins, Christine, Michael Jackson Thriller, Duran, Buckaroo, Bonsai, Battletoads, Saturday Night Fever, Breakfast Club, Ferris Day Off, Ridgemount High, Animal House, Robotron, Joy Division, D&D, The Fly, Boombox from Say Anything, Thundercats, Hello Kitty, The Shining for like 20 whole minutes, Punk'd, Nancy Drew, Atari, Centipede, Pitfall, Sword Quest, Motocross Adventures, Spawn, Chucky, Ninja Turtles, Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, Gundam, Mad Balls, Terminator 2, Thumbs Up, Holy, Hand Grenade, Mario Kart, Joust, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Forbidden Planet, Pac-Man, A-Team, Halo, Sonic, Pee-wee's Bike, Devo, Mass Effect, Lara Croft, Deathstroke, Jason and the Argonauts, RoboCop, Duke Nukem, Excalibur, Spaceballs, Firefly, Cowboy, Beep-boop, Beep-bops, and Bad Chappie. We like naming things. We like naming things. We like naming things, and that's all this movie has. We like naming things. We name the things, and if you think I missed it, I'll provide a link in the description.
Pose, poems, pone, poser!
Christian Bale solves a dumb mystery, but autistic Edgar Allan Poe as a sidekick is kind of fun. El Conde! El Conde! El Conde es mío! Nominated for an Oscar in cinematography, mostly for the body work of Ed Lachman's career. I mean, it's a good demonstration for the new Ari camera that Lachman had, just so it had the the proper black and white sensor for the vision he wanted. It looks gorgeous, but does take me out of it when they start flying around like the little vampire. Premise is kind of neat, using a darker historical figure, the militant Chilean leader Augusto Pinocchio, and liking him to a vampire. I wish I was learning more of the history of this guy that I don't know about, instead of this weird secession family drama of bloodsuckers wanting his fortune to restore his power rather than resign to death. I feel like you don't need the first part if you're not going to commit to that in an interesting way. It feels kind of sloppy, but yeah, just go Margaret Thatcher, a vampire too. Like, okay, haha.
He's Mr. White Christmas, he's Mr. Snow.
Average studio blockbuster. I don't really have nostalgia for the original, but the movie is occasionally fun. It's a good family flick, if not just a tad too predictable. If you've seen a movie before in your life, you'll know how this one goes. I'm the ghost with the random plot device object, but won't the audience be shocked when the random plot device, which is a matchbox, ends up being something we need to defeat the fucking ice guy? I had to use my one fuck in there. I like the effects in this one. They do have a retro practical feel to it, but outside of that, it just kind of feels standard and just an average outing. Not a lot to hate on, but also not particularly riveting or satisfying either.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch!
Perfectly decent Audrey Plaza-led crime flick. I guess it was really neat to see the inner workings of a shopper fraud ring, but there's nothing that really stands out about it either. Nathan, for you, does it better.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Annette Bening and Jodie Foster are impressive, but I don't know if the movie really warrants the Oscars praise. Standard film about a stubborn athlete willing to do what it takes to immortalize their greatness. Inspirational and irksome. Blends that line.
Hey, paisanos! It's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
Mario as a franchise has kind of earned having a more faithful adaptation on the big screen. Don't be upset at the critics who wanted an actual movie with their fanfare, but also Mario has never exactly been a rich in story experience. It's enough fun, but it is a rather clunky movie, but just like the rest of them, I won't say I get excited when I hear Gusty Garden Galaxy in the end credits. So it's one of those experiences. It's fun. It's fun. Like, let them have fun. But it's also not that great.
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
Gorgeous looking film. In terms of ideas, I could see it flirting with being a 9 out of 10. There is substance and heart in Maboroshi, but lacks a focused perspective to really execute upon a lot of what it's trying to address. I really want to like it more than I do, but striking moments seem squandered by how haphazardly everything kind of seems just thrown together. At the end of the day, I just can't justify the major takeaway is how much time we're spending with a feral baby. Gorgeous looking film. That in terms of ideas presented, I could see it flirting with being a 9 out of 10. There is substance and heart in Babylon, but lacks a focused perspective to really execute upon a lot of what it's trying to address. I really want to like it more than I do, but striking moments seem squandered by how haphazardly everything kind of just seems thrown together. At the end of the day, I just can't justify the major takeaway is spending too much time with a feral baby.
Go to sleep.
Ooh-ah. Al Pacino just really needs to go to sleep. Late great Robin Williams plays a surprisingly well done villainous role. Less about the mystery and more about the weight of the process. Solid film.
Only a small % of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel, so I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Also, it's free.
The fucking congressman do be stealing all the oxygen. Directed by who? I like this one a lot, considering it is about some of the most insufferable people on the planet. Self-righteous Julianne Moore tries to fix other people's problems despite her own house life being kind of a mess. Finn Wolfhard is a self-centered streamer musician, self-conscious about his lack of importance behind his success. And Alicia Bowe, does slam poetry. All different shades of awful. And a tale about coming to terms with one's shortcomings, calling them out, but also sympathizing with their flaws to a degree. The film is kind of driving the point that characters are meaningless, are not as self-important as they act. Shaman doesn't really make a complete satisfying arc out of it, but it is decently interesting time that doesn't feel like a complete waste, despite being kind of slow sometimes. I enjoyed it. Not too bad.
Jingle bells, Batman smelt, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, and the Joker got away.
Cute, charming, quirky, wholesome little Batman tale adding some warmth to the Dark Knight mythos. Batman is more just a father and less like Bruce Wayne in this one. But David Hornsby, fanboy himself, makes a silly little Joker in this, and you gotta kind of appreciate it. Nothing special or amazing, but it's kind of a nice tale if you're willing to indulge in a kind of child storybook whimsy of it. Subdued horror, more about creeping anxiety than scares. Kind of a really shocking ending. I appreciate this one if it isn't the most memorable. Like, I don't want to give too much away, and a lot of it is just a meandering plot, but it's got that like anxious, like it makes you anxious. You don't quite know where it's going. I think it's got a nice little thematic. Yeah, I like Dark Water. I don't have a lot to say about it. It is subdued. It is not as in your face, but I appreciate it a lot. It's a good movie. This TMNT is more focused on the teenager part. The turtles are kind of very synonymous with each other. The art style is refreshing, but kind of ugly. Fun ride with the turtles, even if it is kind of underwhelming TV movie feel to it.
Yeah, the darkness is really getting to me.
Charlie Kaufman makes adaptation for children. How nice. Addressing anxiety in a Kaufman's existential dread kind of way with the whimsy of DreamWorks is cute, but doesn't really come together in the best way. It's a meandering for the most part, and a really befuddling ending that kind of goes off the rails, but the ending sentiment is truly endearing.
Have you ever seen this man?
Have you seen this man? But it's this man. Nick Cage in a surreal nightmare. When he goes for it, it's a true romp. It sure says a lot about the omnipresence of media influence and blurring reality in an entire film that it itself seems to operate on dream logic. Like a dream, it feels like a hazy, fleeting moment, but somewhat resonates with me.
He's pulling his cock out!
Titan, but it was made by Japanese Andy Warhol. Heavily experimental. It feels like a deranged music video and some truly great scoring. Body horror is grisly and the craft is fully on display. Stop motion, practical effects, sex with a drill penis. For better or worse, Tetsuo it feels like a college student film. If that college student is a complete and utter psycho. Maybe not truly enjoyable or poetic to me, but underrated diamond in the rough.
What is that? It's the end.
Paul King just knows how to bring a warm sincerity to his films, and while very skeptical of this film, it has its charm. Sure, it has its flaws, but succeeds in trying to tell an optimistic origin of the dream and chocolate maker.
There's some chance, the romance, but I'm frankly feeling nothing.
What a nice introduction, Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, proving I was right in my set it up opinions from years ago. Proving that a straightforward rom-com is not a dead genre and can exist on the big screen. It's predictable and not something you haven't seen before, but the fun leaks through. The leads and supporting cast seem unafraid to have a good time. The end result is a good time and a sweet story. One of the more impressive ending credit sequences I've seen in a while proves that the vibes were by design. You're gonna love it or hate it right away. I could go on, but I think I'll just leave the rest of my thoughts unwritten. Total popcorn movie. Some feminism 101 with a dash of Ryan Gosling becoming a himbo supreme. I mean, it was an event movie, and it delivered the spectacle. It was a fun time, and it was better than a live-action Barbie adaptation had any right to be. Like, when the reports started that A.B. Schumer was projected to star in it, like, Our timeline won, okay? Barbie won the box office, Oppenheimer won the award prestige, which feels like the perfect balance of one of the most incidental and soon-to-be studied marketing ploys of all time. Good time, not gonna hate. I rewatched this on HBO Max with a friend, and we watched it with the sign language lady, and that is now my HBO Max profile picture because she killed it, and she made the movie better. Give that lady a raise, please.
It seems you've finally grown taller than me.
Age of Adeline. One of my friends told me this was her favorite movie. I'll be the judge of that. Actually, kind of a neat sci-fi story that uses its ridiculous premise to both explore the themes of eternal youth while also not forgetting about the plot consequences of eternal youth. The film looks spectacular. I thought Blake Lively was serviceable, not as bad as others are saying, but maybe the role could have used someone with a little bit more gravitas to it. It's kind of a soap opera, but I'm here for the drama. I appreciate the recommendation. It's a pretty good Netflix tier movie.
Good grief, he's naked!
I will always appreciate when a film gets a visceral reaction, despite it being kind of sloppy storytelling. On the no symbolism, lack of narrative twists, weak and questionable messaging. We eat the rich. Barry Keoghan adds another all-timer to his sick little freak filmography. And it is the #1 movie recently where I did walk away going, what the heck did I just watch?
Today, that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV.
Speaking of what the heck did I just watch, it was almost truly amazing. Using a film censorship reviewer, a collection of themes, on-screen depictions of violence and how it damages the psyche, and relates to real violence. I like a piece of media having a correlation to traumatic experiences for the protagonist, and the blurry mystery of it is a connection to a real, or only in the mind of the main character, concise film that swings above its production level, but it falls just shy of being truly elegant or declarative in its messaging. A stronger, lasting impression, and this is a top 10 on the list for sure for me, but it kind of stumbles instead of rises at the end.
Crap! You are late. Begin audience.
Speaking of stumbling, everything's in transition now. Dream Auditor, creating this dystopian world where marketing is ingrained in people's consciousness and its internal tug of war of doing your job and falling in love with this old lady who escaped the wrongs of society and became an artist and a dreamer. Sounds awesome. The texture and production design of this film, the surreal entities of it, feels like it takes Sensor and Dream Scenario and kind of merges them into a slightly more cohesive and surreal experience, but one of the more lackluster cinematography or production value on the list. I can't really fault the film for not having a larger budget sometimes, but it tries to be ambitious, then subdued, and it exposes the seams of the production. Fun time. I'll remember Strawberry Goop.
I'm watching you.
Excuse me?
That's exactly what The Undertaker told John Cena!
Maybe it's time to admit I have a thing for radio show aesthetics. It's all gas, no brakes. Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with Mel Gibson, but if you need a character to be a raging douchebag, well, it's wild, start to finish, and people hate this movie, and they're so true for that. Movie had the balls to do it, and it kind of resolves a lot of the problems I have with the movie. Not all, you can tell they're not clever, but damn, I thought this one was fun. If you like gambling, it's a love or hate experience. See how it goes.
Welcome to the goddamn digital circus. My name is Kane. I am your bitch.
Okay, this isn't even a movie. I don't care. The runtime commitment is probably the same. I've been keeping up. I've been interested to see how this one ends, turning from a YouTube pilot to an A24 to Amazon Prime. It's shockingly fun and not too bad. I was kind of wishing for more episodic time, but I guess episodic television is dead. Oh. The music is pretty good and diverse, and there is a lot of thought put into the world building and characters. Kind of a weak plot with kind of a nonsensical solution if you really think about it. But hey, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I think it's worth the joyride.
My name is Regina George.
Imagine clocking it at 15. No, like imagine getting this far. It's just like Millenium. No, I didn't watch that. We're talking 04, Classico. It is iconic, and it is the moment. Fun comedy, there are bits that maybe didn't age the best, but a good illustration of high school cliques and the attempts to fit in. What can I say? It's so fetch. And when you really see what it could have been, I can see why this movie really hit it off with people. And still one of the champions for early 2000s comedy movies. So I still respect it.
Cats go meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Thank you for paying attention. No, we didn't talk about this one yet because this isn't that one. It's this one. We're talking about 1942 Cat People, the poster child for bizarre cinema history. A film made from the conception of its title, put into theaters through block booking practices, and it became a shocking success. Clever obscurity to leave things up to the imagination, rich black and white cinematography, and an overall alluring story of a curse of sorts. It still haunts today, and I enjoyed this one a lot.
I'm going to try to put this as kindly as possible. The show has turned into a circus, and you three are driving the tiny car.
Admittedly, never got behind the hype for this one. It really does feel like going back in time and watching something from the past. Paul Giamatti is phenomenal, and it's a wholesome found family. At the very least, lonely outsiders trying to be less broken and growing as people. There's a universal and timeless to what The Holdovers has to offer, but I don't know. I don't know if it just didn't personally hit the chords for me, but it's up there it as one of my favorites that I've watched recently.
So long, goodbye.
Ooh, maybe controversial to put this over the last entry, but the farewell illustrates longing and cherishing moments before they're gone. I think the rather underwhelming ending, or lack thereof, kind of furthers the point of the film, more on the melancholy than the conclusion. Awkwafina is surprisingly fine in this one, and I think once you kind of get used to her voice, she's alright, just really dependent on what material you give her. This is depressing and somber, but indulges in a culture and a family dynamic that I appreciate.
You claim that 7 times 13 amounts to what?
28.
Prove that.
7 times 3?
21.
7 times 1?
7.
7 and 1?
8.
And a 2. 28.
No, wait a minute.
If this is, what's on 11, then who's on first? Classic duo Abbott and Costello put themselves in a spooky Halloween romp with Dracula and Frankenstein. Big Scooby-Doo meets the Marx Brothers in a way that there's a lot of good setup, and the angle of horror coming into play to juxtapose the silly Who's on First duo. It delivers everything you want. It's silly, it's clever, it's a good time. Maybe there could have been more arcs, and the second half kind of peters out a bit, but I like this movie. I pay respects to the legends. Great time.
Alicia Drake. Listening, we are here. Listening.
Kim Stanley is sensational. An engaging thriller that I think plays well for modern audiences. Plays very similar to The Black Phone, but from a different perspective, and more of an ambiguity to the ghosts of guilt in the film. I don't want to spoil too much, but I think there's a lot of shock value and interesting dilemmas with this one. Watch it. Cracks my top 10.
There's a word in Korean. 인연. It means providence or fate.
Maybe if you believe in Inyun, there's a version of my past or future that really would have put this as my number one. I see the vision. I really like what we have here. The subdued slow burn, the kind of soul-crushing yearning to at least make peace with the situation. Greta Lee, great. Celine Song, wonderful debut. Maybe in another film, I will express this love deeper, but for better or worse, it's a story with no momentum with a foregone conclusion. Great opening scene, great closing scene. Drags a little, but it is beautiful.
That's a child!
Technically, he's 475 years old.
Then why did you draw him like this?
It's brilliant. One of the best screenplays of the year. It's really refreshing to have a film that thrusts you as an audience to engage with it. As silly as a premise as, a Lifetime movie production on a allegedly, as a subject matures, there's a lot of nuance and empathy in its portrayal. Some hypocrisy, they did not try too hard to obscure the real life story. it is based off of. It's a can of worms, but the blurred line is the situation, and trying to understand the inner workings of all the characters involved in this, condemning the media that profits and dramatizes kind of vile things for entertainment. I was very impressed and enthralled with what May December had to offer, but not surprised with it being a fringe Oscar contender at the same time. It's good, but I can understand why it didn't quite get the love at a higher level.
He thinks I'm some stupid thing he does! Why didn't it ask to get made?
Perfect epilogue if you want to enjoy the MCU casually like myself. I'm not even a major fan of the Guardians, but they at least break up the monotony of the MCU and have good chemistry, have fun humor, and are always adding new wrinkles to their team dynamic. Rocket's origin story is a very raw emotional conflict. I think they concluded mostly everyone's storylines in a satisfying way. I felt they earned everything and deserved its flowers as it closes the book and completes its trilogy. Am I wrong for saying this makes me want to finally sit down and watch Attack on Titan? Very similar themes from what I've picked up. Due to technically masterful, it illustrates its messages about false prophets, religious fervor, and the hunger for power excellently. Personally, not super invested in the world of Dune, but it's a gorgeous epic. And shout out to the people who read the books. Less of like spoiling things, but more just like they very obviously allude to like Messiah, and that keeps me interested in the property. So good on you guys. Time to enact the rule of cool. And the amount of grandiose spectacle is truly one of a kind experience. Something about treating a biwa storyteller as this biggest rock star on the planet is a rather ambitious tale to take on, and it doesn't just succeed, it full on thrives. The energy and vibe is purely electric, gorgeous, and the plot is filled with a lot of unexpected or different turns while never losing its heart. I'm just in awe over the entire soundtrack, and it balances being an unforgettable roller coaster with an intriguing and engaging historical tale. I lacked a lot of personal affinity towards Inu-Oh, but I still found it in my top 5. I don't know what you heard about me. Oof, what an enthralling court drama. Weaponized ambiguity, giving us little factual evidence of what actually went down, and flings us into the mercy of France's really bizarre legal proceedings. Even outside the court, we're speculating and weaving narratives about Sandra Huller and the kind of relationship they have and how she totally murdered this guy, right? Or maybe the very talented dog had something to do with it. Or maybe it was just an accident. Who's to say? Don't let that kid's awful haircut distract you. It's so damn good. So well written. In ways, I like how May December keeps you at arm's length in determining the exact thoughts and feelings of its characters a little more, but Anatomy of a Fall really uses Sandra Huller as a strong anchor, and having your whole life put under the microscope and judged. Sublime court drama. Good time all around.
We decided to meet today for one goal, to see if we can make contact with the Summer Ghost.
Oh my god, it's a sad plays with supernatural storytelling elements, and you're gonna overrate the hell out of this, aren't you? Bingo! Walk with me a little bit. Summer Ghost is outstanding, but you have to give it the grace that it is a 40-minute short film. Pound for pound, I got a lot out of it. I got mystery, I got a little Anohana, I got a little bit of Your Lie in April. Simply beautiful. Gorgeous visually, subtle and somber storytelling. I really love it conceptually, but as much as others are frustrated by the lack of depth of characters or details wishing it was longer, personally, I found it incredibly efficient and clean. Shorts are more extreme of a scale because it's more on the concept and execution of ideas, so you're either going to get something awful and laughable like The After, or something bittersweet and remarkable, such as this. Millennium Actress is 10 out of 10, absolute cinema. What a way to spend a birthday. You shouldn't need me to tell you that Satoshi Kon is one of the GOATs. If I could say anything bad, I'm not the biggest fan of the documentary guys, as much as I kind of like their whole like jumping into someone's memories and the whole like Lion King 1.5 stick. It's never quite as humorous or becomes their own characters to truly enjoy them being there. I have a sneaky suspicion I might be more akin to Perfect Blue or Paprika, but let's not act like three legends cannot coexist. There's an argument that there is not a better example of illustrating its message to the point of perfection than Millennium Actress. The thematic depth, soundtrack, attention to detail, the emotional core, the flow of the narrative, the understanding of our main character, the abundance of themes and messages on life and love, and the overall juxtaposition of cruel reality with the vibrance of fiction and dreams and memories. I am slowly convincing myself to give it the top spot. It's not just comparative to the other 59 on the list. It's an all-time great film, and one that you really got to get around to if you haven't experienced yet. Trying to find something better than Millennium Actress? What can I say? I love the chase.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. To impress him, takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Wow, to beat out a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, I guess you and yourself would have to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, wouldn't you? I see Oppenheimer, and you can argue it's 1A and 1B with the Millennium Actress. Let's not argue apples and oranges and just give flowers to the craft. Technically brilliant magnum opus. I always found the gravity of Oppenheimer, the person, and the perceived soul-crushing guilt and the stoic emptiness of a hollow man to make for a fascinating biopic. You're going to get the master of his craft, Christopher Nolan, and a phenomenal actor in Cillian Murphy. Sounds excellent. And I love the Salieri Aaron Burr archetype, and it's in full force here too. I'd love to be proven wrong, but from its excellence of star-studded cast, Ludwig Göransson's score is exquisite, cinematography and production is top-notch. I feel very confident in saying that Oppenheimer is going to be one of the top films of the 2020s. I'm sick of the criticism that it doesn't present the Japanese or show the carnage. Read a book. If you want that, read a book. Trust me, it's there. Barefoot Gen, heartbreaking, and this corner of the world, extremely melancholic. Don't completely ignore Japanese cinema. They'll tell you, or maybe just don't ignore the little scene in this movie where there's a little, he has a panic attack, which he imagines a little crowd getting vaporized in the blink of an eye. What was that supposed to mean? I know it's a boring choice. Very flavorless. Hopefully some of my top choices suffice for more original recommendations, but I'm not going to pretend like Oppenheimer isn't a masterpiece of a film. To be different. Honestly, the point of the list isn't to recommend Oppenheimer. Go to what speaks to you. The list is drastically different experiences, and I hope you found one that intrigues you enough to give it a shot. This was fun. What an experience. To give a bunch of quick thoughts. Thank you. Take care. I'll see you at the movies.